Well, that's an intro. Dr. Crusher, I need you. Get down here, stat, to the holodeck where I live. See, I've got a program running, you don't. You haven't been able to decide exactly where you want to be, and I've just decided to be in my podcasting studio. But it's all holographic. It's not real. None of this is real. I'm not real. You're not real. Everything is just a figment of Moriarty's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Deck 10. The turbolift doors have opened. You've walked out onto the Titan, now under new command. Once again, I think the show is beating Discovery when it comes to number of captains for one ship.
Yeah.
So we started with Shaw, then we had Captain Riker. And now, when it's all said and done, red alert, spoiler alert, folks, we've lost the ship to Vadic.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our little chat-a-rooting, our little talk-a-reno about Star Trek Picard episode 7.
Yeah. 7.
Dominion. Oh my gosh, we're on the downslide. We're on the back end.
I can't.
I don't know. I did hear that these last 3 episodes are essentially one long final movie cinematic experience split into 3.
We've been getting cinema this whole time.
Yes, but like even more so apparently. Like one long plot, like the season hasn't been one long plot thread, but like even more of one long plot thread. I guess. I don't know. I'm not making a show. I don't know. All I know is that I'm excited. I love watching Star Trek. It makes me a very happy person. And this season has made me just so happy. That's the best way that I can explain it. It's been so good and so fun and so happy creating for me. Oh my gosh. I'm just a ball of emotion. What can I say? I'm a sensitive man. But we can get into it. We can dig down to it. We can get into the details of this thing. We can just go straight from the top of your list, all right?
Okay.
Because this is one of the biggest things, you know. Well, all right. The first thing that you wrote down here was Starfleet did not deliver the cure. And there's so many things to talk about tangentially related to this cure that we experienced in the episode. So there's a little bit of like I guess a lie, a mishistory. I don't know exactly what this is.
And I'm glad we got there.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't land or hit the way I would have liked to, but I'm glad we got to that where it's like, no, Starfleet didn't do this.
We didn't give it to them.
Yeah.
Dr. Bashir and O'Brien stole it, give it to Odo, and Odo said, "I know how to end the war."
Yeah. So I'm glad we kind of worked our way to that.
We needed the name drop. So in my opinion, all right. I mentioned this before we hit the record button, but here we go. Here's the energy, folks. You want to watch the podcast? This is what you're getting. Here's the energy. What a missed opportunity to have Worf in this episode. With so many ties to what happened in Deep Space Nine with the cure and this changeling that was, tortured just like essentially like Odo was under Cardassian rule, but even worse.
Oh.
I think that there was just prime opportunity for Worf to be there, for him to name drop, for him to be like, my good friends, Chief O'Brien and Dr. Bashir jumped into the mind of Agent Sloan. Since we're getting there, since we're, one of the criticisms of this season has been the member berries. There's too many member berries. There's too many nostalgic references, too many slow pans across the USS Voyager. That's a criticism that the show is getting. But I say lean into it. Give us more. Give me more. Make Vadic have, like, the fact that she wasn't the female shapeshifter this whole time made me mad. It's like Starfleet had me. They put me under all of these torturous things. She gave herself to Federation custody at the end of Deep Space Nine. Vadic, in my opinion, should be the female changeling, man. Should be. It's not a criticism. I don't hate what they've done, but I think it could have been more. He's thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it.
On the fence.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder. It's like, where was the Salome version of the changeling?
Yeah.
Where was she?
Was she being boiled too?
Or was she somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't know.
And, you know, so.
Actual Starfleet security had her. Maybe still has her. That's who's posing as Janeway. All right, man. So many name drops. Okay, every not every episode, but like every other episode, they've said Janeway. Seven has said Janeway. Picard has said Janeway. Shaw has said Janeway. There has been a Janeway name drop at least once every episode. There's no way we're not going to see Janeway by the time this thing is over.
Fine if we don't see Kate Mulgrew, as long as she gets paid every time they say Janeway. I'm okay with not seeing Admiral Janeway in this, depending on how the next couple episodes go. Oh my gosh, Tuvok.
Yeah, that was so nice to see, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh. Especially, and again, like we mentioned the previous time, was about having the captioning on. So I'm looking at the captioning, and before I even recognize the voice, like I see Tuvok, and I'm like,
same thing for me. I was like, I saw the Tuvok, and then it's like I heard the voice immediately after that, and I'm like, oh, neat. hey, Tim.
So that was awesome. Tim Russ's performance was phenomenal.
The best Tuvok he's been.
Oh my gosh. The one thing I was really confused on was when Seven mentions Acleon 7. And usually when they make these references, it is a specific call to
something else. Yeah.
Whatever. And when I was looking it up, and I didn't find anything. Maybe there was something in the books or whatever, but I didn't see any reference to that in any of the shows.
I don't know.
But it was interesting plot development, saying it's like, oh well, Tuvok never would have gone there.
You don't know Tuvok like you think you know Tuvok.
Yeah. But it was a nice tie-in.
Yeah, it took me on the ride again, man. It took me on the ride once again. A shorter ride than the one that we went on with Ro. But they just know how to manipulate the audience. Is what they do. Yeah. They know how to tweak it so you just believe it in the moment. All right. They had the voice recognition, the Calto, and then on top of that, we had the lean back. All right, the relaxation of course I'm your friend. With the Voyager theme, you get Seven getting all excited. Like I was sold right along with all of them until the twist. Oh my God, sir! Oh my God!
The reference back to Infinite Regress on Voyager,
which is awesome because we talked about that episode.
Yes, and one of the I'm not sure how to say it, but when one of the personalities that Seven portrayed was a child that had been assimilated.
Yeah.
And that talk about tugging on the heartstrings, that was just so well portrayed. So to pull that back in, there was so much emotion there.
Yeah.
I loved that they included that.
I mean, yeah. What better way than to pull like the only episode that Seven of Nine and Tuvok really had a lot to do with each other. You can't count Year of Hell because that timeline was erased. Like what did Tuvok and Seven do other than that mind meld? So great callback. Just once again showing Terry Metallis's just absolute love and adoration for all of Star Trek that has come before. God. This is what it's like when continuity is respected, right? This is what it feels like. You know, like I'm fine. I'm fine throwing it out the window every once in a while. I'm fine servicing the story that is being told. I'm okay with that. But I didn't realize how good continuity tasted.
It can be.
Oh, it's delicious. It's delicious. I mean, all the way down to the Chintaka scrapyard. How many times did they have a freaking fight in the Chintaka system on Deep Space Nine? It was like the hub of the Dominion War.
While I was watching, I thought of you while I was watching the episode because the last time we talked, you brought that up about the battles at Jataka,
Yeah.
and then they're hiding out in a scrapyard. Like,
Again, we are being orchestrated by a maestro, because clearly they're dropping all of these hints, little things to pick up. Because why would we be talking about the Chintaka system? Why would we be talking about infinite regress? Because they showed the vinculum, because they showed something that made us think of Chintaka. Like, we are being so, like I said, orchestrated, just push down these thought patterns, so when they do go to Chintaka in the scrapyard, you go, I know exactly what that is. It's like you're being prepared ahead of time.
I've never been so um, willingly manipulated and enjoying it uh, at the same time.
Oh my gosh!
It's
Yes,
just like,
manipulate me, Star Trek. Don't just
here
just
for it.
just just take me on the ride. Usually when I watch something, it's more difficult for me to let go of reality. It's hard for me to not stand behind the cameras when I'm watching something on television. But this season, I'm not thinking about nothing but the plot. Nothing but the plot. I'm not thinking about how they're putting these things together. I'm not thinking about acting moments other than LeVar Burton this week. Holy shoot. Can we give
Oh,
LeVar Burton an Emmy, please? A primetime Emmy? Like, at least nominate him for that
I
work?
saw someone comment that the reason, and I know this isn't true, but I'm going to believe it. The reason why LeVar Burton had the visor for so long was because we weren't ready for the level of emotion that he could portray through his eyes.
It is one, because I was talking to my coworker about this episode, and it's rare that I talk to him before we podcast. He's usually a weekend watcher, but this time he got to it a little earlier because he's been enjoying it. It dropped. He was like, "I'm watching," and we talked about that very fact. He's like, when did LeVar Burton go to the producers and demand to remove the visor so he could actually act?
He did a pretty damn good job
I
beforehand.
mean, it wasn't a criticism to
Yo,
his
no, no, yeah.
performance, but like, when can I bring out my eyes? And I remember that was clearly that started in First Contact. Without speaking to it, the story that I've always believed is after his visor was compromised in Generations, he said, I cannot use removable devices anymore. This is twice this thing's got hacked. I can't
Hmm.
do it no more. And so he went for the implants. Now, I think behind the scenes, they were like, hey, we got a budget. LeVar, is there anything you want to do different? And he's like, get rid of the visor.
It was cool for what it was at the time,
Mm-hmm. Oh
but
yeah, at the time,
oh
yeah,
my gosh,
total
just
'90s sci-fi, just core '90s sci-fi. Nowadays, though, where you actually have like real bionic implants, to a degree that's not this thing.
like if they really wanted to, they could have done something similar back in the 90s.
Hmm.
It might have been expensive, um, but I just love where we're at.
Yes,
Um,
yes, it's so
and
subtle
like
now.
I
It's like,
said, the acting that LeVar does just with his eyes um, is amazing.
and look at where we're at with when it comes to Geordie LaForge as well. All right, always been a capable engineer, always been somebody that's given a damn about his friends and given a damn about the overall ship. Not like, ooh, not like not like Scotty. Like Scotty was like, ooh, this babe, this is my wife. I'm gonna touch her like a lady. That's not necessarily Geordie's approach, but he's like, safe ship, safe crew, safe ship, happy crew, smooth engines, great. How long's it gonna take? 4 hours. How long is it really gonna take? 4 hours. I'm not. You get what you see here when it comes to Geordie LaForge. I've always liked that, and he was on, I don't know, they've done the talk show run gamut now. All of the cast members have been on The View and Good Morning America and all that kind of stuff. And in one of them, I believe LeVar Burton spoke to saying that he really wanted them to write Geordi with a very successful family relationship for this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned this or my mom mentioned it. Somebody mentioned it. But that was something that LeVar Burton really wanted to see for Geordi LaForge in this potentially last romp, was quality family dynamics. And
Yeah.
holy crap, Matt. Captain Matt, the Matt. You over there in the holodeck. The levels that they're able to take him, the distance that they've been able to run with him, the amount of just sheer, I don't even know the words. I've run out of the words. I've run out of complimentary words to give to LeVar Burton at this point. Run out of complimentary words to give to Geordi LaForge, and just begging Lore, begging him, and just pleading with Data to find a way out. Knowing that he can't push a button, there's nothing to program. All he can do is try to reach his friend.
Mm-hmm. I feel from the 90s, it was much more of LeVar being told, this is how Geordi is. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Picard, they told him, go.
Go. Boldly go.
And, oh... it's just been amazing.
Oh, geez. And just, just the highlight of the episode, and the main reason why I wanted to watch it twice. This is the first episode I've watched twice, mostly because it was just jam-packed with way too much information for one episode to handle. But secondly, because of just that moment. And I like, as much as I am really into what they did with Geordi, I am equally as nervous about body controlling telepathic Jack.
That was not a twist I was expecting. I really want to see where this is going.
I don't know if I like it yet. I'm gonna need to see where it goes to decide if I enjoy this newest development.
I mean, I was all for, okay, he's genetically okay. Yes, there's a connection to Jean-Luc and Beverly, and okay, maybe he's part Borg. Okay, maybe he's part changeling. That was all fine, and now we introduce this. Oh wait, yeah, he's telepathic.
He's also telepathic. He can read thoughts.
It's like, where's this coming from?
What is all of this? Why is it happening? I was trying to think about it before we got on, and all of this stuff started when he came in contact with a changeling. This didn't start when he came in contact with Picard. This started when he was injured by the changeling. He was getting choked out or something and almost dying. Was the first time he saw the red veiny things.
Yeah.
What the hell, man? What's going on? I don't know. It's like the least amount of evidence for Jack than anything else. You know, you can kind of guess, oh, they want to make a perfect replica of me to get through security, which isn't the plan. That's not what's going on.
I'm really appreciating the fact that I don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
With Jack.
I guess it's good to have some mystery. I don't know, man. I want them to stick the landing so bad. I'm just, that's what it is. I'm going to love it. Whatever they do, I'm sure I'm going to love it and have a great time watching. But I really want them to stick it. Man, what else did you write down?
I do want to take a moment. I'm blanking on the designer's name right at that moment. Yeah. But when we talked, when they were talking about the field jackets in Ready Room and some other clips, how so many of the actors have been like, this thing is so comfortable. And the whole secondary Picard maneuver,
yes,
that was because the uniforms, the outfits were not comfortable, and they were kind of tugging on them constantly. And so just the commentary from Frakes and Mika and a few other people about like how awesome it is to wear these costumes. They're so comfortable, and they really fit into it. I'm just I was geeking out.
It's a costume nerd moment. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I remember Jonathan Frakes had directed an episode of Enterprise, and he was kind of walking to the set and talking to the actors and stuff, and talking about the costumes. And then he had mentioned that, or he noticed that those costumes had pockets. And he's like, "Oh, we would have killed for pockets, man."
Yeah.
I like those Enterprise uniforms, though. I thought they were really good.
I liked them. Yeah,
Little jumpsuity things.
seemed like a good progression.
Now, when you say field jacket, do you mean like the black one, or just like the regular uniform that they're wearing now?
These biker jackets.
Oh, okay. So like the kind of like the thing that Seven was wearing at the top of the episode.
And the designer had talked about it and said, it started with Rafi, needed a rough and tumble kind of look.
Yeah.
But then it started to expand to the other characters. And they even said, it's like, well, Picard needed to look like he was wearing a uniform, but not a uniform. But at the same time, it's like, as you're watching the show, it's like they're not in this stiff uniform that the other bridge folks are. So anyway, I'm loving it. I'm appreciating that level of detail.
Yeah. Your next note here, Jean-Luc Jack Hybrid. Geez, man, again, we don't know what's going on with Jack at all. So they said, discovery about Picard's body calls into question aromatic syndrome. And if that calls that into question, that means that's
perfectly perfect.
Like perfectly imperfect body
or something like that. Yeah,
a perfectly imperfect body. To me, they are not just trying to be like, "Ooh, let's drain its blood and get through security so we can blow something." That is not what's going on.
No.
There's something else entirely. Picard is the gate. Jack is the key. I just don't know. And then also at the same time, since I don't know what's going on with that, I also don't know what the hell's going on with Vadic and the face thing, okay? Because this face, at the end of this conversation that the face had with Vadic, I'm no longer convinced that the face is another changeling.
Okay.
Now, maybe I'm just misreading the thing, because he's like, "You think you're so special. You think your species can be but you're nothing. You are malleable. We are the god," or whatever. And I'm just like, is this guy not a changeling?
I hadn't thought of that.
Or is he just the original god?
I was thinking more of is face OG changeling versus this new hybrid that was the result of all this experimentation.
Oh, so tragic. How'd they get a hold of 7 changelings or whatever? I need to know that too. Because there was only 2 on Earth that caused all that chaos. As far as we understood, there was only like 1 in the Alpha Quadrant, because we really only saw the female changeling during the Dominion War.
Well, so I'm guessing that these are, I guess we have to assume that a sample of a changeling in and of itself is not a changeling, which allowed them to do all this testing and experimentation and such. So if that's the case, these were samples taken from the ones that were on Earth during the Dominion War, and since I'm not sure. I was a little hung up on that.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I don't know where they could have come across. I mean, clearly they got them. That's what happened. We can't argue the fact that it happened, because it did. But how I don't know, because I just can't recall in my person. If you know, leave a comment down below. But I can't recall any specific lore where that many, at least. I can understand. I would have taken 3. There was 3 of us. I think that would have been an easier number to swallow than the 7 or whatever that they had mentioned.
Yeah,
I guess you need a bigger army to start off with, then, right?
Maybe again, that could just have been 7 of them looks better on screen than 3.
Yeah, I'm totally, I'm with that too, for sure. I want an explanation though. Okay, I'm gonna become one of those angry nerds that demand detail for every little nuance.
Yeah, it's like I will get hung up on technical details, but at the same time, I don't want to spend my time trying to track down Changeling 1, Changeling 2, Changeling 3, Changeling 4. So
Yeah, I don't know. They took a bunch of Odo samples and they just turned into new changelings.
maybe.
I mean, because I
Who
mean,
knows? Yeah,
we
we don't
never.
know how much they took from him.
And so, and then also the way that the link works too. The ocean becomes the drop becomes the ocean, and then they sent 100 infant changelings out into the galaxy. How do you make a new changeling if the ocean is a drop and the drop is an ocean, and if you're all one but many but many but one, how does that? Um,
Well, that's a good point. It's some of these might not have been. Some of these might have been. Oh gosh, this is a dark thought. Some of these might have been baby changelings
yeah.
that were captured.
Okay.
That never were connected to the Great Link. Oh gosh, that's freaking dark.
That is really dark. But if we're gonna do it,
I
we're gonna
wasn't
do it on
expecting to
Picard.
go there, but yeah, who knows? Who
And then
knows where it leads?
and then now I feel better about Melora Pell. No, not Melora Pell. I'm sorry, that's a completely different character. Dr. Mora.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Melora is
Well.
somebody else. That was the skeleton lady. Anyway,
Yeah. 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 Um.
Dr. Mora. I feel way
I-
better about him because Odo didn't enjoy his experience, but then they had that
no, but
catharsis at the end. But still, also at the same time, he's like, "Well, I didn't know what you were, but I still electrocuted you." Uh,
I think yeah, I think with that, that was more of an innocence, ignorance,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah. I mean,
type of
there was once he
experimentation.
realized that it was alive, his
Yeah.
tactics changed.
Yeah. Whereas with Starfleet Section 31, it's like, oh, we know what this is, and we don't care.
Yeah.
We're gonna manipulate the crap out of it.
We're gonna see what it can do.
Yeah. Yeah. There was definitely there with Mora. There he wasn't being nefarious.
No, 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 no.
Definitely with Section 31, they're like, we don't care about morals. We're gonna torture this
We're gonna torture
being.
the hell out of this thing until
Yeah.
it breaks out of its thing and just evolves or is pushed to the brink.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh my
oh,
goodness.
yeah, so tragic story for Vadic. I am waiting. I need it by the time the season's over, and if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be really, really disappointed. But I really need Amanda Plummer to shout "wreak havoc" and unleash the dogs of war at some point.
That would.
This character is prime for such a line, and I need it. I need it. Just the
Again, that
chair
would
even swivels. The chair even swivels. Okay.
that would again that would be one of those, oh, why did they do that, or da, da, da. But again, it's like, the cheese level. Um, being such a fan, I'll take it.
I need it.
I'm
I've been
okay with
thinking
it.
about it every episode. Like, please, please, wreak havoc and unleash the dogs of war. You have a note on here. This arch, Alondra describing lore.
That line threw me.
I didn't like it. It was very Gen Z
Yeah,
speak.
and to me, being the tech geek,
Mm-hmm.
if you say the word arch, I'm thinking, what version of Linux are you talking about?
I'm thinking a holodeck arch.
Okay, that too. But to hear someone say, oh, this person is, this arch, and I'm like, that just,
Has he always been this arch?
yeah,
It's
that
too
just,
it was too modern for me. That's what threw me. I don't know anything about Linux. I don't care about that. But great, awesome. I'm glad that you do. I'm sure it was a passion of yours that drove your life for many years.
but it's
But
just, but again, yeah, we haven't had too much development on Alondra, so maybe we just don't understand her very well yet.
maybe
But
she's
yeah,
into throwback phrasing from the 21st century.
I don't know. I just, like I said, so that just seemed a little odd. Um, I thought it interesting where they made it a point to say Alton Soong and B4 were memory files, whereas Data and Lore were the personalities.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if that was just a way for the writers to say we're going to focus on Data and Lore.
Yes, 100%.
Um, as opposed to, will pepper
Mm-hmm.
a little bit here and there. Oh, and I did see an interesting thread talking about Data's mother, but I don't think it was ever established that he made a copy of her or backed up her personality files.
Nobody other than the Enterprise crew even knew.
Yeah. But people were saying like, oh, why isn't she included? And it's like, well, because she wasn't. She was
She
left to
lived to a
go
happy
on
old
and live
age,
her life.
and they buried her without an autopsy, ever knowing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that it's like, okay, we gave you these little tidbits, but
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna brush them off to the
I'm
side.
with it. You know, they
Focus on
can
these two
benefit
dynamic.
from the experiences of B4 ensuing. They didn't mention Lao, so I don't know. I guess she's memory too. Um,
Maybe, yeah, exactly.
but you know, I'll consider her memory too because I don't foresee Brent Spiner trying to go, "Hi, I'm Lao." You know, I don't think that's going to happen. Uh, so
The by the way, just to go back to that, I'm a bad Trekkie. What was that episode?
with the baby, the offspring, right?
Oh,
No,
oh,
or is that the one where Deanna gets pregnant for a day?
no, that was the child.
Ah, there we go.
So maybe it was offspring.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, the portrayal of Lal first experiencing emotion organically.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
gutted me.
Oh,
Um, so I don't know. If they
it's
don't bring
awesome.
her back in, it's okay. But if they do, I'm curious to see how they'll do
I
it.
know the next generation holds a really, really, really special place in your heart. So any sort of reference to things that you held dear, is important. Wesley, Lau, whatever it is that also just made the next generation that series for you. I'm
Hmm.
sure it is just loving it. You must love this even more than I'm loving it because
I
I get caught up on like, wow, Jordy's voice is just so scratchy now. Like I get caught up on these little things that I'm not sure other people are. Oh man.
I
Mhm.
was happy to see Face return.
Yeah.
I really want to know. I don't know if we'll ever see who what Face is. Um, I I don't think it's essential to the story, but I just love the fact that again, while I'm watching the show, got the closed captioning on, and it comes up and it says face.
Face.
Uh, so
Me personally, I need to know who Face is. Face is the mastermind, the one that is playing all the cards, putting all the
um,
pieces in place. I need to know who this person is and why. I don't need just Vadic to be like, oh, my master just hates you because she does. No, I need to know that this is Sela, in a disguise, pulling all kinds of crazy strings. This is a resurrected
jumping
Duras
ahead.
family line. This is a Pa Wraith. I need something.
Yeah.
Uh,
I the where Face says your kind. And I'm
yeah.
assuming that's referring to the changelings that underwent this torture and experimentation. So if that's the case, is Face a gamma quadrant changeling? Is Face an alpha quadrant changeling that was separated from the Great Link?
We
So
could
I'm
talk
just
about
kind
it.
of curious to
Um,
know, where
and then
that's at.
also, but connected to that, your kind though is when your kind is malleable, and that's
Mhm.
what really that is what I'm being hung up on. And then like the psychic connection, whatever, like happening to Vadic during the conversation. It just I don't know, man. It just there was something about the flavor that landed in my particular mouth that makes me think that maybe Face isn't a changeling. But again, who knows what's really going to happen until we see it. Gosh.
Well, I've got a few episodes to go,
We do
so
have still a few episodes to go. I want to talk a little bit more about Data and Lore though, because I have to give kudos to Brent Spiner as well because he's able to pull these characters out of his butt like he never stopped playing them. Just the difference between Data and Lore is exactly just it. Did he go back and rewatch old stuff? Is it just like climbing into a familiar makeup chair? Like what is it? Oh.
acting.
It is. It's acting. I remember I played Data by not using contractions, and I was a little whispery. I played Lore like it just a dick. Uh,
That was something I thought of when I was re watching the last episode. Was the whole contraction thing, and so far it seems they're keeping with it when we're talking when Data is speaking.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, just because he just because he has an emotion chip doesn't mean he has a contraction chip. That's going to be
Yeah.
the last thing. That's when all of these personalities and experiences blend into Brent Spiner, I guess, is who Data is going to evolve into. I don't know. What's your name? Soong, Ultimo Soong. Uh, I'm not sure, but clearly that's the goal. That's the idea. When it comes to all of the character trajectories and plot lines, I think Data's is the clearest. Everything is going to blend by the time it's over to create the human Data that Data has always wanted to be.
Yeah.
When it came to Geordi's little impassioned speech in the beginning of it, where he's like, "Maybe this is what the Soongs were after the whole time," I'm just like, this is so on the nose for me that it's going to come down to Data and Lore having a Gollum and Schmeagol scene.
Oh,
And
I
finally
hadn't
being
thought of
like,
that. Oh my.
brother, we have always been at odds. I know. Because you've never been able to see the light. I disagree with you, brother. I think it's you that have been wrong this entire time. And then at the end of this thing, they're going to become Smart Hulk. And you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no. That was a lot of nerdism in 30 seconds. And I totally get it.
You were with it all. So I want that. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, another thing that I get hung up on, and these are just minor details. The fact that I get hung up on this and not like plot is just is extra points to this season of Picard, because there was all kinds of different plot things that I could have hung a bunch of different question marks on for the first 2 seasons, but that's fine. This one I'm hung up on, like, well, if Data is one of those like biological android things, indistinguishable in every way from a human body, how do you have a partition of personalities inside that biological brain? Did he just grow multiple? Is it just actual like like MPD at this point?
Well, explain to me how Professor X built up those partition in Jean Grey's brain to.
They're X-Men with powers that don't exist in the Star Trek universe. That's how that works.
I'm just
Now in this one, um, what is it with Patrick Stewart properties and partitioning personalities? It's a thing that his characters do. So I don't really know how that works in the biological brain, but I'm still here for it. It's fine. Once those partitions break down, but then like, just and then he's out of the closet now. Like, he got out of the little robot closet. It's just, I feel like I need to watch it again. Jack telepathic, Sydney in the turbo lift. Now, what you never do when you're trying to like mac on a girl and you realize you're telepathic and can read her thoughts is immediately act on what she's thinking, because that's just gonna creep her out. Okay, you gotta play a little game there, Jack. I don't know what's going on. I thought you might have had a little bit more game than this, but you don't seem to have much game, Jack.
I'm loving the awkwardness of Jack, as if he's never asked a girl out.
But he's also my dad's friend's daughter.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So with all the bravado that we've seen from Jack, it's like, I can rumble with anybody in the galaxy. And then he sees someone he finds attractive and he's like, I don't know what to do.
I get all tongue tied like my father.
Yeah. So I'm loving that.
When he was controlling Sydney's body in fighting off the changeling.
Oh, wow.
That made me think of that Deep Space Nine episode where Worf had the thing on it, and he was
with Quark
looking for Parmach in all the wrong places. I think is the name of the episode. God, I'm a nerd, and I know the episode names better than I thought I did. God, it's because I'm bored. Who knows the names of episodes? Do Grey's Anatomy nerds know the name of episodes of
I'm
Grey's
sure
Anatomy?
there are. I'm sure they are
They're
there.
probably,
I
probably.
have
Hey,
no
Grey's
doubt.
Anatomy dorks, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. You know what? We got to put Star Trek aside for a second, and I need to talk about Ahmed Best on Star Wars. And I got to give this man my props and my respect for showing up and playing the live action version of the voice that he did in the Clone Wars. I don't know how much Star Wars you know.
Oh, I know. Yes, I
I
know
know
you're talking.
nothing about Star Wars, but I know that Ahmed Best was bullied to hell, just like Kelly Marie Tran was, by all
Oh,
of you Star Wars geeks out there that just can't let things be.
yeah.
Um, and so it just warmed my little nerd heart because I haven't been watching The Mandalorian. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I am a big human being fan. And to see somebody transform their legacy from voice acting for a character that people didn't like to voice acting for a character that people did like to playing a memorable part of The Mandalorian, not soon to be forgotten, I think is everything that Ahmed Best could have asked for as an actor and has completely changed his legacy going forward in Star Wars. And so good work on that. I don't know why I was inspired to say that in this moment, but I was.
It was good.
Great. Great. Uh, Sydney in the turbo lift. So yeah, if you're macking on the chick, wait a second. Just wait a second. And then also when she's like, hey, what's going on? Don't like stare at her with your weird red eyes either, because I think that's also going to be really, that's a red flag.
Did she see the eyes?
No, 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 no. This is all
Or
just
only
for the
we saw
audience.
the
It's
eyes?
just for the audience so we know when something's going down. Now this one here, this next note, Tavine as a Vulcan officer in the false recording. What does that
I
mean?
want to say that sounded like the actress, but there was no note in the captioning to say who the officer was
Oh,
from the
oh,
Vulcan
with the
ship.
with the we they've been boarded. Most people are dead. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
Gotcha. I mean, maybe. I mean, Tavine's the communications officer, so that would make sense.
yeah. So it's like I don't know if that was just well, we have the actress here. She's already kind of playing this part.
She was doing some ADR for something else. Let's just say one
Yeah,
more
yeah,
line.
exactly. Or if that was intentional to imply that this was all part of the setup.
Yeah.
So anyway, I
Yeah,
just
it was all part of the setup. So the episode moved at such breakneck speed. It was basically, oh man, we can detect them. Next, smash cut. We're detecting them. Ooh, we can lure them in. Smash cut. They're right there. We need to get them now. Just breakneck speed. Oh, I'm telepathic now. I'm controlling bodies now. I'm winning fights. I did think that the run through the corridors with the force fields was pretty cool.
that
Like,
was awesome.
how do you do a Star Trek chase scene? That's how you do a Star Trek chase scene. Just locking them in different places and stuff, and then lures. And please, Lord, please. Oh, good God, I'm just living it again. Vadic says no transporters. Why? Why does Vadic say no
Again,
transporters? Is it going to
again,
scramble Jack's biology? But then they tried to beam him off before.
yeah. So I'm a little confused about this back and forth with why transporters are a concern.
Here we are. We're finding the holes, is what we're doing. We're finding the little
Yes.
inconsistencies.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's convenient here, so let's do it.
But
But
it's
no,
not convenient here.
absolutely can't do it here.
But I guess that's a testament of doing such a great job with something else. That something like this, like, well, they tried to use the transporters before. Like, that's such a basic criticism. Well, they tried to use the transporters in the other episode. How come they didn't do it in this one? Which just goes to show the quality that they're bringing, because we could have been complaining about a number of other things. But they didn't give us opportunity because there's nothing to complain about. Vac scars seems to be on purpose.
Yeah. I saw some theories earlier on that maybe Vadic was liberated Borg, and that's why she has the scars. But we clearly saw in this last episode of Dominion where she took on the likeness of her torturer, uh, but her torturer didn't have the scars.
No.
So why does Vadic have those scars? And I
And
didn't
she had them
realize until this
immediately, too.
episode they're symmetrical.
I mean, maybe it's just on purpose to just look like a badass.
Yeah,
Maybe.
works.
Because I had turned my head for a moment, and then when I came back to watching the episode the first time, the changeling was in the middle of taking the form of Vadic, but I had missed the transition into her face, and I only saw like the things coming down, and I'm like, oh shoot, she's inside Vadic's body. What? And then no, that's not what happened. But that's what I originally thought, and I
That would have
was
been.
wrong. But that might be neat. What if a changeling just climbs into the blood vessels
Oh
of a
my.
person? That's how they could have gotten through these scans the whole time. Just climb into the blood vessels, move the body around. Like we get to Bernie's. Oh
Oh
gosh.
gosh,
And
got a
then
whole new series right there.
Vadic just also speechifying, alluding to giving Jack to Beverly in some capacity, making it so in some way, you know. Because that was another thing. That was another thing people were talking about at the beginning of the season was how does this person, even though it's the 24th century, you know, how is she still viable for pregnancy? You know, without being rude, but you know, she was of an age, and people were curious. How does this happen? Maybe it happens because of because oh my god, you know, Cisco's birth was engineered. Maybe Jack really is a paw race. And that's the connection to the Dominion or the changelings, because they're like, we know about the paw rates. That was a big. They had a big climactic conclusion at the end of our war. Maybe there's opportunity there. Ooh. And then also we haven't had the Borg climb into this thing in any way, shape, or form yet, and we know
Yeah,
that's going to happen at some point, right?
yeah. Oh, it has to. It just has to.
There's no way. This isn't Borg connected in some way. So perhaps it's Borg connected, changeling connected, and just just everything connected. Just everything just tied into one little neat villainous bow. um, Planned force field places is another one of your notes. Now, I've seen this happen on the show before. Star Trek has done planned force field
Yep.
placements, but
Yep.
never like this.
Correct.
On,
Yes.
off, activate Charlie, Tango, Bravo, Delta. Generally speaking, they're like, put up all of the force fields. Oh no, all of the force fields came down.
It reminded me a bit of when Data was recalled by Dr. Soong,
Mm-hmm.
and he's leaving the ship
Yeah,
while he's in control of the ship,
yeah.
and he's activating all these force fields and stuff like that. It did remind me of that next
Oh,
gen episode.
well, hey, see again, more callbacks to
Yeah.
just sprinkling on little nostalgic flair, even to what's going on here. Homages, respectful allusions. That's basically what the entire Chucky franchise is homages and respectful and you know, uh,
I would.
respectful.
I'm sorry. I just would not have expected Chucky to come into this conversation, but okay.
I'll touch all of the nerd properties, especially ones that are overtly homosexual, like Chucky. Um, I want to do a Chucky podcast next. That'll be fun.
Oh God.
Oh goodness gracious! We have one of our own steal it is another one. See, okay, yeah. Back to the top of the conversation. Odo stole that. Well, Odo didn't steal that crap.
Yeah.
Bashir and O'Brien did, but Odo
Yeah.
took that cure and went home.
Yeah. So, but I love the fact that Vadic is like, that's what your history books tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's like history is told by the victors.
Yes,
So
graciously.
I'm glad that that was presented the way they did it.
Still needed more. We need a Michael Dorn to be like, and then my friend Odo stole a runabout off screen. Refer to Jack as a solid.
Yeah. So we haven't yet gotten an explanation of who those troops are
Yeah,
with
that's true.
masks. So are they
I don't know. I kind of felt like they were
similar?
changelings by the time this came around.
Yeah, but are they similar to Vadic, or are they more similar to the Gamma Quadrant
From
founders?
my understanding, if Vadic links with a changeling, she can then teach them, essentially,
Yeah,
to do what she does.
yeah, but we haven't seen them do any changeling stuff.
No. We haven't seen them, not the ones in the masks.
Yeah,
But that
correct.
doesn't necessarily mean that the ones that we have seen shapeshift aren't wearing masks at different points, though. I don't know. Still a big question. Still unknown.
Yeah.
You know, I was hoping they were going to be Breen or something, but they're not. Let's see.
So,
Then this next one here, you got super geeky with Project Proteus.
yeah, just anytime
This
anything,
is one of these Easter eggs and references.
yeah, anytime there's some kind of Greek reference, I've got to look it up just to see, what mythology
Yeah.
they're going with. Um, so, and of course, my first instinct was when they said Proteus, I'm thinking Prometheus and fire and all
Mm.
that stuff, and I was like, okay, that wrong story. Um, and so I went and looked it up, and I don't remember hearing about Proteus being a sea god and being able to change forms.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was interesting that they used that to to title this weaponization of this species.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. I just take it for what they are. I don't know nothing about Greek mythology. It took me the longest time to even go alpha, beta, gamma, delta. That's the first four letters of the Greek alphabet. Oh my gosh! I think I had that revelation when I was like 16.
The bigger thing, I think, the more artistic component to the episode was talking about symphony. And whereas Vadic was talking about, so, and of course, oh gosh, there was so much in that
So
sequence.
much.
But Vadic is talking about the instruments being the screams
Mm-hmm.
and these different sensations that become part of a traumatic experience, being the instruments, being the notes. And I really hope that isn't lost on the audience. Because you say symphony and people think they're thinking about classical artists and strings and horns and woodwinds and da, 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 da. And she's really going deep into saying it's like you know this is my PTSD.
Yeah.
This was my experience. So anyway, I just thought it was a beautiful way of explaining that from a tortured person's perspective.
A gorgeous piece of writing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it also goes to show there's some depth to Vedic as well. You know,
Hmm.
maybe she won't have to die. Maybe you can reach her. Yeah, she'll die. More Shrike headlights. They sure do
I,
get intimidating with those headlights, don't they?
I
It's like driving down the highway with the LED high beams coming
yeah,
out the opposite end.
you would think that more often we would have high beams on starships because we're in space
Right.
and we're not in an atmosphere that refracts light. So it just really stood out that the Shrike had these high beams that were operating, and then they showed it again. So anyway, I just thought it was.
Yeah, you're right. Because oftentimes we'll see a ship, in between systems or something, just kind of hovering and hanging out.
And it's like, what's lighting it? Nothing.
It really should just, yeah. I never thought about that before because there would be no
It's right
sunlight.
up there with the whole explosion thing. It's like we love explosions because we can understand them,
Yeah.
but at the same time, in space, there's no atmosphere. So
So the explosion would be,
exactly. There might be a little tiny fireball,
right.
but not one that encompasses the
Well, that's
ship.
why that's why they have the warp core explode because then there's no oxygen required.
Yes.
It's just a antimatter, just catastrophe. Oh
But at the
god.
same time, it's like it was a little odd, but at the same time, it's like no, that's how it should be.
I want them
Um,
to. Well, while we're on it, we need to mention the galactic speed limit again because that was established in the next generation.
okay.
Warp 5, if that's still good enough. And maybe do we need some sort of override now as well? Like, I want to see that. Get there, warp 8. Are you sure, Captain? Yes, warp 8. Well, the maximum in this sector is warp 5. I don't care. You have my authorization.
Yeah, the one thing that bothered me in the current gen, is this whole, well, we can do 9. Well, we can do 9.5.
We can do
Well, we can do
9.99.
9.975. And it's like we're splitting hairs at this point. Yeah, your 9.975 might get you there a day earlier, but I don't know. It's just I think we need to reevaluate the warp scale.
Well, how do you even know you're at warp 9.99? How do you know what warp 10
Everything's
is?
shaking.
Because we've had transwarp, which is,
Yeah.
I guess, a failed experiment that we've never tried to do again. We've had, goodness gracious. Well, we did experience warp 10 on Voyager when everybody turned into a freaking lizard.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that. So
actually, going into Prodigy, I think we have the Protostar, but I want to say,
yeah, they have that special engine.
Yeah, I want to say that there's like a transwarp engine on Janeway's ship or something.
They've got the proto-matter drive or something like that. That is exceptional.
Again, with that silly proto-matter
or something. We have MacGuffin drive. I think we can put away the special MacGuffin warp cores at this point. We have Discovery, which can literally teleport anywhere. Literally, it can just teleport. It's a teleporting ship, and the more we get into Deep Space Nine, the more we get into Picard season 3, the deeper we get into Strange New Worlds, the more the teleporting ship from Discovery makes just less and less sense for me.
Honestly, all of this is making the whole I can't think of the word for it, but the whole mushroom network, makes more sense.
This whole thing makes the mushroom. It sells it for you.
Yeah, it's like I'm leaning more into that as believable than.
Oh, we invented a proto drive that actually goes warp 15. Oh gosh. Oh goodness gracious. Discovery final season though, maybe the whole thing will blow up in the end. Who knows? Who knows? Symphony's Lore, full control of the ship, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he's now the computer. They're like, Lore, how long is it going to take? Lore, search through the files.
So again, going back to my someone leaving a Post-it on the command chair with the command codes. Did Lore just happen to see that and he transferred all the command codes over to Vadic?
He just hacked it.
Because it's one thing to take control of a ship, and it's another thing to control the ship. Right. So it's like, Vadic is like, this is I'm the captain of the Titan. It's like, but are you?
Maybe Lore. You might have picked up on something that's going to come across in the next episode.
Yeah. So it's like, is Lore still in control of the ship, or did he just set all the permissions to allow all?
Yeah, allow. Yeah,
and
yes.
Yeah.
I'm with that. And then they can be like, Lore, lock her out. No, I'm not going to do that. Well, what does she need you for, man? She's a changeling. You're right. I'm going to lock her out. Thank you. I'm a good guy now. That's what's going to happen. And that's the exact dialogue. I'm a good guy now. But does she appreciate the spinniness of the chair? I think that's a good final question for the episode. Does Captain Vadic
oh my gosh,
appreciate the spinniness of the chair? I personally do.
That one graphic out of my head. Someone did a cartoon version of Seven going, kind of like wee, yes. And I just can't get that out of my head. And so
she has to.
The biggest takeaway for me from anybody in command of Titan is their true appreciation of the spinniness of the chair.
Well, Christopher Plummer, as General Chang, spun the hell out of his chair all throughout Star Trek VI. So yes, she has to appreciate it, right? Then I need it. I need the spin. I need that recap. I need it. I need it so badly. Tara Metallus, I know you're watching. If you didn't put this into your episode, we're gonna have words, sir. We're gonna have words. And also, we also need to have words about why you didn't cast me as an extra. You know, why didn't you put me in a uniform and stick me in the back of one of these scenes? Huh? Is it because you sent everybody away to the other ship?
Speaking of, Tracy has spoken up. The ongoing background actress from not just TNG. You know, she's performed in several shows, but she had just recently tweeted. She's like, "I'm ready," and she tagged to Terry. So if Tracy doesn't make it in before the last minute of Picard, I'm going to be so disappointed. One of my most favorite scenes that never existed was an outtake where Frakes Riker just kind of like turns over his head. He's like, Tracy! And he runs after her, and just within a split second, she runs. And I just loved it. I just wish somehow that could have been part of the show. But anyway, that was just like today or yesterday. So if they don't find a way to incorporate her, I will be really, really upset, and I will immediately go on the internet to complain.
You?
Yes. Because that's what
but
you do.
But you love it all. But you love Star Trek so much you would never complain about anything that they did. Ever. There's not one thing, not one misstep Star Trek has ever done in your mind. You know.
Janeway and some stumbles.
Janeway and Paris turning into lizards and having lizard babies with absolutely no chance of survival.
Worst. That's not the worst, but it's in there.
No chance of survival, man. All right, they went, oh, look at these babies, and then they left. What are those babies gonna? They don't have instincts. What are they gonna do? They're in some random system. Can they even eat there? We don't know these things. Tuvok, Chakotay, Harry Kim. All right. If 7 of 9 was a part of the cast during that time, she might have had something to say. This is a new life species, all right? We respected life in the Borg. In a strange, weird, bastardized way, but we respected it. Oh, gosh, folks. Well, that was Picard Season 3, Episode 7, entitled Dominion. The next one is called Surrender. And I haven't seen the preview for it yet, so I don't know what I'm in for, but it'll be good. I know it's going to be good, because every episode's been good so far. They can't have a bad one now, can they?
No.
Oh, God, I hope not. Oh, gosh. And you know, in conclusion, Chucky is still tangentially related to Star Trek because the first season of the Chucky show starred Isa Briones' brother.
Okay.
Mateo Briones.
Okay.
All right. So there we go. There's your in-universe connection. All right, folks, get back on the turbo lift. We're going to go back down to, I don't know, our quarters. We're going to figure out how to spend our off time, all right? Because, you know, we never really figured out what people do when they're not in the holodeck and not on duty. Anything. What the hell do they do? There's no TV. Nothing that's been established.
Except in Tom Paris's quarters.
Yeah, the replicated one that B'Elanna built. But you know, I always go back to the episode where Section 31 is introduced in Deep Space Nine, because they lock the senior staff into their rooms while they individually interrogate everybody about something, and ultimately decide Bashir's a changeling or some nonsense, which he wasn't at that time, at least. And they show Bashir spending time in his quarters, wasting time because he can't work, he can't see his friends, he can't do anything. And so they show him reading a pad. They show him like throwing something in the air because he's bored. But he never turned on a movie.
No.
You know? So do we just listen to music and read? Is that what we do as humans in the 24th century? Because that's kind of boring.
Well, it's mostly Klingon opera in the future.
That is
So
true, and it's so hard to get out of the computer systems. Like it just
yeah,
massive amounts of data is just
yeah,
dedicated to Klingon opera across the entire galaxy, including original Shakespearean.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Have you ever read it in its original Klingon? Original Klingon, Chang? I think that you're just making stuff up now. I think you're just still. I think. Oh man, what a quality movie! That movie is undersold. Okay, people don't appreciate just the political BS that exists throughout the whole thing. They don't appreciate this last romp of these 50-year-olds running around a little bit past their prime, saving the galaxy. It was even a part of the plot. Just oh my gosh, Star Trek 6. Oh gosh, Star Trek. Join us next week. I've been Matt.
I'm still Matt.
Look at that. We're gonna be Matt forever. I hope it's the paw rates. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.